Hi, friends. A very pleasant good evening. I hope all of you are doing good. Can you please see my screen? Can you just quickly give me a heads up? Can you please quickly give a heads up, please? If you can see me on your screen, am I audible to you? I hope you guys can see me. I would just want one thumbs up in the chat section to give me an indication that I'm audible as well as visible to you. I hope all of you have done your exam decently, at least, because I see a lot of discussion going around the depth of the paper, right? And thank you, Inama, for that heads up. I can now understand that you can hear me as well as you can see me properly. Okay, so finally, the examination, the shift two of RBI Grade B 2022 Phase 1 exam is done, right? And we are here analyzing how was the paper, what was the difficulty level of the paper overall. And it's important that we understand what is going to be the expected cutoff. Though in the coming 7 days, you will automatically receive your results, but we do need to have a quick check as to how was the paper overall, right? So I will not keep you, waiting much for a longer time. Just give me a minute, and then we'll quickly have a look at the section and the cutoff, expected cutoff. It will just take us 5-6 minutes to understand the entire scenario out here. Okay. Fine. So let's just move on and understand the GA section, right? So very clearly, it was on similar lines as we saw from the shift one questions that we have discussed, right? But one thing is there, when you compare it with the last year, friends, just understand a few things that were different from last year. Last year, the paper was very heavy in terms of your government schemes coverage, okay? But this year, it was a very balanced paper wherein you saw questions being asked from various other domains. Like they did cover current affairs properly. Inside current affairs, you did see reports and indices were there. There were static based questions also. There were questions on government schemes as well. So I would say it was kind of a balanced paper, but that can also be a disadvantage because you should have studied all the areas comprehensively, right? The other thing that was a little different from last year was obviously, the government schemes, 6 to 7 questions were only there, as I told you. And there were also one liner based questions. Okay. So out of 80 questions, there were even 30-35 questions that were one liner questions, but they were not very easy though. You need to understand that they were indirectly asked, but we did see the one liner questions being asked. Other questions were quite lengthy, and because of that, overall, if you see, the time that was given was seeming not enough for many of the students to complete the paper. And in the last, in fact, they were not able to see 10 to 11 questions, even they were not able to see what kind of questions were there. So they did not attempt that as well. So overall, lengthy paper, yes. Tough, yes, because GS section, you were running out of time and the questions were not very direct. Plus, it was too factual. Okay, like so many data points were to be remembered by the aspirants, and the questions were very heavy in terms of RBI related information, be it the circular, be it the notification, be it the allocations. So many things were, like you should have memorized those data points previously. Fine. But if you talk about the coverage in general, I would say it was on the very similar lines, the coverage part. Okay. And in terms of coverage, the priority was given to April and May as usual. Even in the first shift, we did see the same pattern, right? And a few questions were also asked from December, Jan, and Feb, but majorly the questions were, asked from your April and May 2022. So anybody who has actually done, good coverage or good revision of these 2 months would have been at an advantage, right? The other thing you need to understand is concept based questions were asked. So if you are preparing for your phase two, which you should be preparing, okay, parallelly, and that would have helped you because concept based questions were asked in the paper. So if you ask me how was general awareness section overall, I would say yes, it was moderate to difficult, okay, but more towards the difficult side because of the variety of information that you were required to store in your head to answer these questions. Okay. The next part is reasoning. Again, it was not very different from what was asked in shift one, but yes, I would say it is difficult. Okay, there were few students, the feedback that we have got that they were not even able to solve a few questions out there. So that's something which can, make the paper tough. No syllogisms were asked, but in shift one, we did see syllogisms. Okay, there were inequality based questions, there were coding decoding questions, okay, and statement assumption questions were there. So again, expected kind of questions that were asked, but the difficulty level was high. So yes, overall reasoning also difficult. Let's move on. English language, I think it was like a sense of relief when you talk about the four sections that we are dealing with right now. This is the section which most of you could have, performed better or well, in fact, and you can actually boost your score if you would have attempted good number of questions from here. The advantage was there were two RCs, so usually RC based questions are a little easier when compared to the other kind of questions that were there. There were jumbled sentences wherein sentences were fixed and you were required to rearrange the others. Okay, idioms and phrases, correct usage based questions were there. There were questions like error detection, spot the errors. These were all on the similar lines, so nothing very different or nothing like a knockout here in English section. So I hope you would have, maximized your score by attempting mostly all the questions, or if not all, at least nearing to say, the maximum number of questions possible from English section. Okay. Last but not the least, it's quantitative aptitude, which everybody is talking about. And yes, we were right in our discussion previously that we cannot depend upon this particular section, that is quantitative aptitude section, for clearing RBI grade B as a whole. But you should have taken care of clearing the cutoff, because overall the difficulty level was yes high. There were three DI based questions, so in case you have solved one DI properly, I think that would have given you enough boost that is required. Okay. Arithmetic based questions also, if you ask me, multiple statement based questions were there. So this is a difference that we saw from the previous year paper, so I would say it was tough. And quadratic equations were asked, you need to find roots, and it was again statement based questions. So if you're not comfortable even with the single line of questions, these statement based questions would have been altogether very difficult, so most of you would have not attempted these questions, right? So all in all, if you see, comparing to shift one, somewhere we have a sense from the students that shift two has been a little difficult. Okay, comparing when we do between the same examination, shift one and shift two, right? When you compare it from the previous year, English section was a little easier. It was a relief for most of us. Okay, and if you talk about quantitative aptitude, it is tougher. Reasoning on the similar lines. General awareness a little easy, because there were a few one liner questions as well that would have given you a chance to score well. And if you would have revised the last 2 3 months properly, that also would have been a bonus for you, right? Okay, so coming back to the main question, that's the reason why most of us are in the session today, is to know what can be the expected cutoff for RBI grade B 2022 phase 1. So let me tell you, overall I would, yes, rate the difficulty level to be high. It is difficult paper, fine, and the expected cutoff can be anywhere between 70 plus or minus 3. It can also go above 70 till 73, or it can also go below it till say 67 or something. So yeah, this is the range that we are anticipating, and this is for the general category. Okay, so in case you belong to the other categories, you can just put that down a little by say 5 marks. Okay, so that's how the category wise we have the difference in the overall cutoff, right? um, Other thing I would want to say, ki don't worry if you feel you have attempted less. You should not have a panic thing at this moment, because if you have worked on your accuracy, I think that's what is going to make the difference at the end of the day. And if you remember, even in the last minute tips that we discussed, we were very clear that if the paper is tough for you, automatically everybody is going to be feeling the same thing, and you need to be very smart enough to go ahead and choose accuracy. Okay, you will have to have good number of questions being correct. Even if your attempts are less, it's okay, as long as your accuracy is high. Okay. So that's how we predict the overall cutoff to be 70 plus or minus 3. And let's see, how the things shape up in the coming days. For now, what you guys need to do, the next step is obviously we'll be releasing answer key. Once have a look at those answer keys today itself and see where you stand. Okay. And then start your preparation after 2 days or 1 day gap. And then you'll have to, make sure you're not wasting these 6 to 7 days that you have in your hands, because the result will take at least 7 days of time. And don't wait for the result and then find the remaining days to be less for your preparation. That would really be not the right to way to go ahead. Fine. So thank you so much, and just take some rest. I know it's been real tough evening and the morning shift as well, so please don't do too much work today, and go take a deep sleep and just pat yourself because you have at least attempted this particular examination, and let's hope for the best. Thank you, friends. Thank you so much.